All week, Newsnight has been looking at the possible implications of a growing world population, and tonight we examine the foods of the future. They're nutritious, protein-rich and easy to farm. Will we soon all be eating insects? Joining me are the Colombian ambassador, Mauricio Rodriguez, who has brought some of Colombia's national delicacies, the delightful-sounding big-ass ants here, and the cook Stefan Gates, who explores unusual foodstuffs. He'll be rustling up some noodles with locusts, mealworms and crickets. But while that's on the hob and I crack open the wine, here's Justin Rowlatt.
Look at any restaurant menu and it appears to offer a world of choice. Lamb, pork, chicken, fish. But actually, we humans are very conservative when it comes to food. We eat just a handful of the more than 7 million animal species that are reckoned to exist on the planet. But is it time for us to get a bit more adventurous? There's a growing movement arguing the world needs to eat more of these insects. Well, Daniel Creedon is head chef here at Archipelago Restaurant in London. So what have you got on offer today?
Here we're cooking locusts and crickets in a mixture of chili, garlic, galangal, southeastern flavours. And we'll serve them on top of a salad we call the love bug salad.
Now, is that popular with your customers?
It is very.
It is popular?
Yeah.
All right, let me try one of these critters. Let's have a look. There we go. So a locust this is, and I must say that's a rather unusual salad ingredient, and I think some people would find the prospect of eating this little chap a bit disgusting, but I'll give it a go. There's a nice crunch, but it's more of a texture than a flavour, but there's a lovely chilli sauce there. That's not bad. The Netherlands is leading the way in insect-eating research, and at this farm they produce mealworms for animal and for human consumption.
Each box will give you 2.5 kilos of mealworms.
So is it good being an insect farmer?
I think it's rather efficient farming this. They love to live together in a box, upon each other, it's no problem.
So they love to be crowded together?
Crowded together in the darkness.
So it's quite humane then, insect farming, so to speak?
Yes, it's a natural behaviour.
These are the beetles?
The beetles of the mealworm.
Oh, the mealworm are the larvae of these beetles?
The meal beetle, yes. And these beetles will give each 150 eggs.
So for a kilo of feed, or 10 kilos of feed, so how much insect do you get?
10 kilos of feed will give you 8 kilos of mealworms.
Okay, and how does that compare to traditional farm animals?
Pigs, for instance, they need 10 kilos of feed to get 3 kilos of pig.
Right. So these are the actual mealworms, are they?
Yes, these are the giant mealworms.
Well, can I touch them?
Yes, of
They're
course.
They're not going to bite or anything,
a bit.
A bit?
But you will get used to that.
Wow, look at that.
You will not die of them.
What do these eat then?
These eat carrots and chaff. It's
chaff from wheat chaff. So these are kind of waste products?
Normally in nature they clean up the whole mess. So they can eat anything.
Okay. You feeling peckish yet? Well, if you are, you're in for a nutritional feast. The UN's Food and Agriculture Organization says insect protein content is comparable to meat, and many insects contain essential amino acids, fibre in the exoskeleton, along with polyunsaturated fatty acids, iron, calcium and B vitamins. Yum, yum. Professor Arnold van Hoos is an entomologist who's keen to encourage us all to eat more of the animals he's made his life's work. And with swine flu and BSE in mind, he says consuming insects is actually less risky than eating other animals.
Well, insects are not much related, let's say, to humans. So diseases that insects have don't jump easily to humans. And that's different, of course, from pigs and from cows.
But what's persuaded the European Union to offer a grant of over €2.5 million to research the potential of insects as food, and the UN to advocate their consumption, are arguments that farming insects is more environmentally friendly.
Insects produce much less greenhouse gases than pigs or cattle.
What order? How much better are they?
If you compare pigs to locusts, then locusts are doing 8 times better.
Well, chickens are much more efficient than pigs as well, aren't they? That if you had to choose between chicken meat and insect meat, you're almost always going to choose the chicken.
Why?
Because chicken is delicious.
Yeah, but why are insects not delicious?
These are bees, here's a good one, poached in their own honey, which I must say I think is a little bit mean, Daniel.
We actually serve these on creme brulee.
Got the crunch, strong taste of honey, but also another flavour.
It tends to be mentholy coming through, and that is actually the bee itself and not the honey.
There's a menthol and there's a sort of a texture of hair. A 12-ounce steak is something like 1,000 locusts to get the equivalent amount of protein. I mean, can you imagine anyone sitting down and crunching their way through a bowl full of 1,000 locusts?
No, I can't, but that's the wrong way of thinking about it, because what's going to happen is that someone's going to come up, some very clever person is going to come up with a way of creating a protein powder based on locusts. It will have a proprietorial name. It won't be called Insectalicious or Buggy-like. It will be called Earth Bounty or TM. They'll be very clever with it.
I mean, the disgust is really profound in Western societies, and you really believe that just by calling it Earth Bounty, that will be enough?
You cannot underestimate what could happen to food prices across the developed world in the next 10 to 20 years. There's every evidence that they could double or triple. And when things like that start happening, a lot of other considerations will go by the by. It won't be the plate of 1,000 locusts to replace your sirloin steak. It will be this very clever powder which can replicate meat proteins and put that in a cheap sausage, and you're laughing.
So can Western revulsion to eating insects be overcome? Time for a very unscientific Newsnight experiment.
When I'm a human fly, I spell L-Y, I say buzz.
We dressed the producer Ian up in a fly suit, we gave him a tray of tasty snacks, and we took to the streets. Would you like a little snack?
Not particularly, I wouldn't say.
I can't believe everyone... Is it? That is quite nice. Can I pressure you to eat something? You'll have a chocolate scorpion. Oh, he's gone for a locust. Weird. What about a quick bee before you go? There you go.
It's good. It's a nice crunchy little flavour, and the chilli sauce is just coming through. Yeah.
You quite like the insects now, don't you?
I'm not going to try that.
Mate, you've just had a bee, a scorpion and a locust, and you're turning your nose up at a meal one. It seems people have much more of an appetite for arthropods than I'd expected. Maybe we will all soon be eating those insect sausages after all.
Oh, Justin Rowlatt. Stefan, I know you're finishing off a dish at the moment, but Ambassador, I mean, you feel no revulsion at all about insects,
Absolutely.
in fact, do you? And is that simply because that you find them tasty, or because they are going to be a good source of protein in an ever-demanding world?
Insects are not only the food of the future, they are already the food of the present. And let me show you an example.
Okay.
These are ants.
Are these your big-ass ants?
Big bottom ants.
Big-bottomed.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I have to use diplomatic language, of course.
Okay, diplomatic, okay.
And they come from Santander,
Can I just
region
see
in
it,
Colombia.
please?
Yes, of course.
And
they're very good. They're very tasty.
Are they treated?
Yes, of course. They are soaked in salty water, and then they are roasted.
Okay.
They taste a little bit salty, crunchy.
Actually, they're actually okay.
Yeah.
I think they're some of the best ones, I'd say. I mean, they're supposed to.
And these are a delicacy now.
They are very much in demand. We sell over 1,000 packages, small packages of ants in London every month.
Okay, now Stefan, I mean, you're cooking with this for a reason, but you've also got a story to tell about the things that we eat already and we don't realise we're eating insects.
Well, that's right. I mean, these are seen as slightly gimmick foods, to be honest, in Britain at the moment. But I'm really hoping this will change, because we do eat a lot of this stuff anyway. Little plates of mealworm.
And it yields, as we say, far more kilos of actual food.
Very, very resource
I'm just going to wash that.
You spin that down with a little bit of wine. Now, the essence of this is that we already eat quite a lot of these things already. Now, this little vial here has, keep going there, is bee vomit.
I just got a bit of ant on my teeth.
It'll be there for a while. Bee vomit, and this is honey.
Yeah.
And we've been eating it for a long, long time.
What's that?
These are cochineal bugs. Now, if you have one of these marshmallows, have a look. I know that you've been eating quite a lot already, but have a little try of that marshmallow. It's just an ordinary marshmallow.
Right.
But it's made with these fellas here. These are called cochineal bugs. They're tiny little things. They're like little bits of grit at this stage.
Right.
But you can grind them down using a pestle and mortar, like this. and then you can see what happens when you add them to a little bit of water.
How do you like this? This is what's it got? A honey in it. It's got coriander, and what are the bugs in here?
Okay, so you've got a big locust there. You've got some mealworms, and you've got some crickets. And I'd say that it's a delicious way to eat this stuff.
Well, I mean, the thing is, do you actually notice the fact that it's anything more than crunch? Do you actually get any flavour from the insects?
I'd say that you absolutely do. You get a huge amount of protein, and when it caramelizes, you get the Maillard effect. You get those
Stephanie, and they have a big advantage. They have a lot of protein, but they have much less fat and much less cholesterol.
Yep.
So they are very healthy.
But don't you need an awful lot of insects to get the same protein you would get, for example, from chicken and meat? You'd have to eat a pile of insects, wouldn't you?
No, not really. Not really. According to the experts, you get almost the same amount as a piece of steak, and you get much less fat, so they are recommending to eat this. And the production is much better for the world because it's environmentally friendly. These ants don't need fertilizers, pesticides, fungicides, and they don't produce methane.
And what do you drink with it? What do you recommend drinking with this?
For me, I prefer beer. It's the perfect drink for ants, a snack.
That's right. Well, there's little salty snacks. They're perfect for beer on a hot day. Little plate of chapulines or these fat-bottomed ants.
And these ones are already cooked.
You can take these home. You can have them for dessert later on. They're already cooked, so they're roasted. A lot of people worry about them because they say
they're actually very nice.
You can eat them raw. You can eat them alive, but no, they're really good. And these are tossed these a little bit of salt.
As you say, these are delicacies. They're probably eaten at fun, in a night out in a cocktail bar or whatever. But realistically, are they ever going to become a food staple in this country? I mean, you look at what happens in Britain. Are we really going to be eating insects?
I think so, because there are no other alternatives. It's impossible to supply food to the growing population, the type of food we are eating today, and we need to look for other options. And this is a very healthy option for all of us.
Hope you can manage to have some insects from the weekend. I'm sure you could try and have some big bottom ants. From all of us here, a very good night from Newsnight.
Hey, hey, good looking. What you got cooking? Well, how's about cooking something up with me? Hey, sweet baby, don't you think maybe we could find us a brand new recipe?